What are the 5 main cryptocurrencies and what are their difference? Let's have a look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripples, Bitcoin Cash, and Litecoins. Hi everyone, welcome to O-Trading. My name is Mark, and today we'll look at the 5 biggest cryptocurrency by market capitalization. Market cap is the value of a coin, so its price times the amount of coins in circulations. So looking at the 5 biggest coins, we have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripples, Bitcoin Cash, and Litecoin. So let's look at who and when invented each of these cryptocurrencies. Starting with Bitcoin, presented as a project by Satoshi Nakamoto on the 31st of October 2008, on the wake of the last major economic crisis. The Bitcoin network went online on the 3rd of January 2009. To this date, we still don't know who is Satoshi Nakamoto. For Ethereum, Vitalik Buterin, a Russian-Canadian, has presented the project on late 2013. The project went online in July 30, 2015. In the case of Ripple, the project has been presented in 2012 by Jed Mikeleb and has been built by Arthur Brito, David Schwartz, and Ryan Fugger. For Bitcoin Cash, it's a bit different. Since Bitcoin Cash is a fork from the original Bitcoin network, its inventor is the same person, the unknown Satoshi Nakamoto. Bitcoin Cash has been online since July 2017. I will come back at why it's a fork and what is a fork a bit later. The last one on the list is Litecoin. This one is not a fork of Bitcoin, but a copy of the core code of Bitcoin. Its inventor, Charlie Lee, shared the code online on the 7th of October 2011, and the network went live 6 days later on the 13th of October 2011. Now let's look at the core value of each of these coins and their usage case before we look at the technical side of each of these cryptocurrencies. For Bitcoin, I posted a video recently called What is Bitcoin? The link is in the descriptions. But its inventor, Satoshi Nakamoto, proposed this project as a peer-to-peer electronic cash systems at the wake of the last major economic crisis. The main idea behind Bitcoin is to create a digital currency that no one can control, at the contrary of the national currency that are almost all controlled by central banks. A currency that have a fixed and predictable inflation rate, that you know each day how many Bitcoins will be issued, or every year how many Bitcoins more will be in circulations. Bitcoin's main achievement, Satoshi's main creation, was the solving of the double spending problems. There was a few digital currencies that been created before Bitcoin, but none of them were able to solve the double spending problems without a central authority to control the coins. The double spending problem is the idea that everything that's digital is easily copyable. If someone sends you a pictures or a song through email, you can easily copy that song or that pictures many times to have many different copies. You can't have a currency that will hold its value over time if anyone that receives a coin can copy that coin and make new coins out of that currencies. So the main and most important invention of Satoshi with the Bitcoin project was the solving of that double spending problems with the use of the blockchain technology. Nowadays, almost any other digital currency will use that same method, the blockchain, to solve this double spending problems. Basically, to explain it simply, when someone sends you a coin over the internet with a transactions, they're not actually sending you the coin, but they're sending you the control over that coin, and that coin always remains on the blockchain network. So any of these 5 cryptocurrencies we're talking about today, and again almost all the other cryptocurrency that exists, work with a set of public key and private key. Your public key is basically like your bank account number, while your private key is your NIP or your password to authentify any transactions. So when someone sends you a Bitcoin over the Bitcoin network, they're actually just giving you the access, the control over that Bitcoin to your wallet number, your public key. That Bitcoin will always stay on the Bitcoin network, and the network will always make sure that only one wallet can control that same Bitcoin at the time. This idea is shared by these 5 cryptocurrencies and almost all other cryptocurrency that exists. So now let's look at the technical numbers behind each of these cryptocurrency. In the case of Bitcoin, its creator chose to put a set of rules behind Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is capped at a maximum of 21 million Bitcoins that will be in circulations ever. Currently, there is around 17.9 million Bitcoins that are in circulations. Each of these Bitcoins are divisible by 100 million Satoshi. The smallest unit, 1 millionth of a Bitcoin, is called 1 Satoshi. Every transaction sent to the Bitcoin network is stacked in a block of transactions, and a new block of transaction is created every 10 minutes. The computer that run the Bitcoin network and verify each of these transactions are called miners. Currently, these miners, these computers that run the Bitcoin network, are paid 12.5 Bitcoins for each block of transactions. There is a new block every 10 minutes, and the first computer that can verify each of these transactions gets that reward. So this is how we create new Bitcoins, up to the moment that we will reach the cap of 21 million Bitcoins. And every 4 years, that reward is slashed in half. So in around 200 days, this reward will drop to 6.25 Bitcoins for every block of transactions. We call this event the halving of the Bitcoin network, when the reward for the miners is cut in half. This reward will happen till the year 2140. At this moment, the Bitcoin will have reached its maximum supply of 21 millions. And then after that, the only reward the miners will have will be the transactions fee. The little fee that you have to send at the same time you send each transactions on the Bitcoin network. Ethereum shares most of the core principle of the Bitcoin network with some added feature. I did not mention it before, but on the Bitcoin network, when you send a transaction, the only thing that are recorded on the blockchain is the public address of the sender of the transaction, the public address of the receiver, the amount transfer, and a note. Most people will leave that last field, the note, empty, but you could store some text that will be stored forever on the blockchain. In the case of Ethereum, Ethereum goes a mile further. You can add some script, some code inside that note, allowing for the Ethereum blockchain network to compute your notes. So they invented a language, a programming language for Ethereum, allowing for Ethereum to run as a decentralized network, allowing for decentralized application to run on its network. Let's compare it to Facebook for sake of better understanding. When you post a post on Facebook, there is some automatic script inside Facebook server that relay this message to all your friends. If someone is in a country where the government doesn't give them access to Facebook, or the Facebook server are offline, you won't access the information on Facebook. In the case of the Ethereum network, since it's running on a decentralized network, all the information is copied across all the servers on the network. So even if one server is inaccessible or is offline, every server running on the network still have the same copy of the informations, making it impossible to block by a government. Ethereum core technical numbers are a bit different than Bitcoin. It doesn't serve the same purposes. Ethereum is a decentralized computer, and Bitcoin is a store of values. On Ethereum, there is no maximum supply of coins. There will always be new coins created as far as the network stay online. So currently, the supply of Ethereum is at over 107 million Ether in circulations. And every new block of transactions, 2 new Ethereum are created and given to the miners that work the systems. Also, its block time is much different. While Bitcoin has a 10 minutes block, Ethereum has a 13 seconds block, allowing for much faster computing on its network. So if we recap quickly, Bitcoin is a store of value, Ethereum is a decentralized intelligent computers, and Ripple is a tool for the big bank, basically trying to replace the SWIFT network, but with blockchain technology. Its main purpose is to be used as a real-time gross settlement systems and currency exchange. It's not decentralized the same way Bitcoin or Ethereum is. No one can just run a systems running on Ripples to validate transactions. It's a decentralized network, but all the servers that run the Ripples network are owned by Ripples Lab Inc. So its blockchain is controlled by a private company. They have a public blockchain, what we use with the Ripples coin that you and me have access to. And they also offer private service, private blockchains to big banks, central banks, and big corporations. So very often when you see a news that a big bank or a big company will start using Ripples for big settlements of transactions in the billions or trillions of dollars, they're actually not talking about the public blockchain that you and me have access to. So the impact it will have will only be a news impact, but not the actual real flow of money on that blockchain that you have access to. On the number side, Ripples has currently a circulating supplies of 43 billion coins for a total supply of 100 billion coins. It's not a mining systems where the computer that work the network, since they are owned by that company, are not rewarded with new Ripples. All the Ripples in circulation and the Ripples that will be in circulations are already available on the network. The missing Ripples that are not in circulation are held by the Ripples Foundation currently. In the case of Bitcoin Cash, as mentioned before, this is a fork of the main Bitcoin network. A fork is when you keep the same history of the blockchain, but start changing a few rules in the way the blockchain works. Imagine you have 1 million computers running on the blockchain network. If 1/3 of these computers decide to follow a new set of rules for the creation of each block of transaction, and the other 2/3 decide to keep the old rules applying for the creation of the block, you now have a fork of this blockchain. You have a new chain of block that's created. Every block of transaction remains the same till that date when they decide to apply new rules and create different type of block on each chain, then creating 2 chains, creating a new currencies. So if you had a Bitcoin before, now you have a Bitcoin and a Bitcoin Cash. You will keep the same amount of Bitcoin after the fork, the same private and public address for each of these coins on the 2 different chains. The only risk you may have is during the fork if you by mistake make a transaction on the wrong chain, and since both coins won't necessarily hold the same value now. This situation creating the Bitcoin Cash happened in July 2017. Back in 2017, Bitcoin started to be very popular. The price of Bitcoin went up very fast, and the amount of transaction on its network also went up very fast, faster than the network could clear them. As there's a maximum of transaction that can fit inside each of these block of transactions, what we call the block size, and there's a new block only every 10 minutes on the Bitcoin network, back in 2017, there started to be a lot of traffic, a lot of congestion on the network. Every 10 minutes, when a new block is created, the miner take all the transactions that give the best fee for each transaction. So judging the transaction the most important by the amount of fee that's given for passing the transactions. Making that if you don't put enough fees for your transaction to happen, your transaction could be delayed of many cycles, many 10 minutes or hours or days back then. So that pushed the transaction fee to skyrocket back in 2017. And to solve this scalability issue, developers, miners, and businessmen were arguing at 2 main ideas to solve these problems. One was to increase the block size, the amount of transaction that can fit in each block of transaction, and the other one was to develop new technology to compress the information on the blockchain, allowing for the same size of block, but more transaction could fit inside of it. The block size is basically an amount of an amount of computer memory that's allowed for each block of transactions. So compressing the information while keeping the same block size allow for the same old computer to keep running the network, while increasing the block size will force old computer to not be able to run the network anymore because they're not strong enough anymore to run the network. So two clans formed, arguing that they each had the best solution to solve this scalability. Rogerverse was in the clan of the bitcoincash. Their idea was to increase the Bitcoin block size. They first wanted that everyone followed their lead, but when it was clear that most were not following this mentality, they forked the Bitcoin network on July 2017 to create bitcoincash. Something similar also happened in 2018 with bitcoincash, where it forked again to create Bitcoin SV, a much less valuable currency at this point. For Litecoin, as mentioned before, this one is a copycat of Bitcoin, so it shares almost all the same core value of Bitcoin, except a few small changes in the technical numbers. So for example, the maximum supply of Litecoin is capped at 84 million Litecoin, and the block time, the time between each block of transaction, is reduced to 2.5 minutes, allowing for much faster transaction, 4 times faster basically. There is currently just over 63 million Litecoin in circulations. We often refer as Bitcoin as the digital gold of the internet, and Litecoin therefore get often the reference of the digital silvers. Also, Litecoin often used as a test ground for new technology before they get adopted on the Bitcoin network. I hope by now you have a much better understanding of these 5 main cryptocurrencies. If you didn't understand something or would like me to go more deep in one of these cryptocurrencies, please leave a comment down below. Thank you to have watched this video till the end. If you like this video, please click on the like button. This really helped me growing this channel. Also, I make video on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday regarding all the major cryptocurrency news. So if you would like to see these videos, please subscribe to this channel and click on the bell icon to get notification whenever I post new videos. Thank you and have a great day.